There's been plenty of talk on social media and on YouTube about using 72T distributions as a bridge to allow folks to retire early or to access their retirement accounts early. I object to how this gets portrayed on these channels as a strategy to access cash like that. It's not a strategy at all, in my opinion. For the people who need a 72T distribution, this is a lifeline. It's a last resort for many of them. So let's talk about what a 72T distribution is. It's a way to withdraw money from your retirement accounts. Think an old 401k or your IRA without having that pesky 10% penalty applied if you're taking money out before age 59 and a half. Of course, if you're over 59 and a half, this is not an issue. Any distribution from a retirement account is a pre-tax retirement account is going to generate taxable income, but it's that 10% whack on top of it that really it causes more damage than it should. 72T distributions are sometimes referred to as substantially equal periodic payments, or they use a terrible acronym, SEPP. Suppose you retired well before age 59 and a half, or suppose you were let go, downsized prior to age 59 and a half, and you want to or need to tap into your retirement funds. A 72T distribution permits you to do this without that 10% penalty. They came up with the name 72T because it stems from Section 72T of the Internal Revenue Code. Now look, if you do these distributions properly, you won't have that 10% penalty that usually comes if you're withdrawing funds prior to age 59 and a half from a retirement account. But the rules on a 72T distribution are strict, and we don't advise flying solo on this. Seek professional help. You shouldn't be winging it when it comes to making a 72T distribution, because if you make an error, all of the distributions will be subject to that 10% penalty. So more taxable income, more cash out of pocket, all of them retroactively, plus interest, going all the way back to the very first distribution that you made. And for the record, it's easy to make errors. So here's a few situations where people get tripped up. There's three, and only three methods to calculate what you're going to be taking on an annual basis. If you screw up this math, you're in trouble. The calculations are a little complicated, so we'll save that for another video, but you have to take distributions, this is tricky, you have to take distributions for 5 years or up to age 59 and a half, but here's the catch, whichever of those is longer. Let me give you some examples. If you start a 72T distribution at age 50, you're talking about 9.5 years of distributions. Remember, it's 5 years or age 59 and a half, whichever is longer. If you start at age 55, you're talking about 5+ years of distributions, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Okay, so at least 5 years and maybe a 6th year. If you start at age 57, you still have 5 years of distributions that you're going to have to make. You have to do at least 5 years or age 59 and a half, whichever is longer. So if you start at 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, and maybe 62. If you roll additional money into this account, or if you make future contributions to this account, that's considered a modification to your 72T distribution. That disqualifies the plan. If you take an extra distribution in 1 year, not permitted. That's also considered a modification, and this would also disqualify the plan. We read recently, someone said, hey, we inherited money this year, so we don't really need to take that 72 distribution this year. Not permitted. That disqualifies the plan. And the penalties, if you modify your 72T distribution, can be pretty harsh. If there's been any modifications at all to the Rule 72T distribution plan, all of the distributions will be subject retroactively to that 10% penalty, plus interest is going to get piled on top of all of that. So the penalties can be pretty stiff. There is one tweak where you're allowed one time to change the method of calculation when you're making distributions. As far as we know, that's the only exception that we've seen where you can modify a plan. In my experience, the folks who need access to these retirement funds before age 59 and a half truly need this money. They don't want this money. They need it. And so I object to the way this gets portrayed on social media as a strategy to access your cash. I've seen 72T distributions more as a lifeline, a last resort for folks who truly need the money. This isn't something that I think people should plan around. You should absolutely bring your accountant and your financial advisor in on your plans if you're thinking about a 72T distribution. And while pensions and Social Security can create a floor for income during your retirement, these decisions are one-way doors, meaning once you make the choice, it's very hard to backtrack. And when folks are wrestling whether to make a 72T distribution, knowing your other options in retirement becomes very important. For more on that, watch this video next.